host, Tony Holland, here today with the Global Premier Benefits Young Guns. It's been an exciting day for us to have you three young gentlemen here today, and wanted to ask you guys some questions as a group of three. I mean, you guys have rocked it. I mean, you guys have found your niche at such a young age, and being in your 20s and, finding your path in life, saving lives, changing lives for the better. And want to ask you guys, coming from someone that's, 20 years old, finding your path through life, what kind of advice would you guys, as a group give to that 20-year-old out there that's looking to make a move in their life? They want to make their own mark. They may not be truly satisfied in the career they're in now, but they really want to make a big move. Why do you guys feel that, especially the Medicare industry? Because there's a lot of myths about that 20-year-olds can't be in that industry because they're dealing with 60 and 70-year-olds. I think the total opposite. I think 20-year-olds can crush it. Your thoughts on that?
They think we're their grandkid.
What's that?
So you guys probably get the same thing. I get the biggest thing that old people say is, "Oh, you remind me of my grandkid," or "You feel like one of my grandkids."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a myth number one. Is we can relate with the old people on that level. Treat them like your grandma.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, just talking about what you're saying, jumping into an industry and what that 20-year-old is going to be doing is nobody's going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
Nobody owes you anything. As many people, especially I think several in our generation, but there are people that want to stand out and want to do that work.
Right.
Nobody's going to do it for you. You
Right.
can read as many books as you want to. You can do all this stuff that you want to do, but you need to take that initial first step into doing something that is actively going to change what you're doing. And that's what a great industry this is to do, because there's a lot to learn, but you're going to learn by doing, and we have the resources available to actually make that change and get that started on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think someone in their 20s, that's the prime time to get into something like this. You know, you have no bad habits. You're not a older seasoned guy that's stuck in their ways. You're able to come in, be transformable, be coached and inspired, and let us guide you along the way, and be able to build something for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of go ahead. You wanted to.
No, you're fine, Tony.
I just, I remember when I was 24 when I got started, 1994. You weren't even thought of, but I was a Johns Hopkins graduate. Thought I was going to go be a doctor. Didn't like blood or hospitals, and I got in this profession. And I never thought insurance was an opportunity. They didn't teach us that in high school or college, especially at Johns Hopkins. You didn't do that. Matter of fact, many of my clients said, "What did you do? What are you doing? You went to Johns Hopkins and you're selling insurance?" I'm sure you guys probably have had that same type of.
I never knew that insurance there's money in it.
Yeah.
It was always something, at least like growing up or hearing about it. Oh, he sells insurance.
Right.
Like one of those things like, oh, he couldn't do anything else with his life, so he went and sold insurance. I mean, look at what the business has done for our lives, and you don't really see that if you just think about some of the preconceived notations on selling insurance.
Right.
Well, I think and a lot of what you're talking about too is there may be a lot of people that do this, but they may do it and they may do it, with a half intended measure of actually
and I
going
think
through
what
it.
gives insurance a bad name too is just a lot of the network marketing stuff out there, where a lot of these organizations turned into. There was more money in recruiting people than it was ever selling the insurance. I think that gave insurance industry as a career a bad name as a whole, I think. But you do it the right way. If you're not in some network marketing scheme or something, if you do this the right way, it's a whole lot of money and a whole big opportunity to business you could build at this age.
Well, I think a lot of it too is the fact that people don't say there's money in it or nobody talks about it is because you have to go out and actually create that wealth yourself. It's not something that someone's going to hand you, or you do a job where, you do exactly what they've told you to do, and, you have 3 breaks a day, and you go through that. So
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off, like Tony was saying, you don't hear about this industry. Fortunately for me, my dad was in this business before, and I'm thankful that he was, because if he wasn't, I probably wouldn't have had this opportunity or been able to stumble in this opportunity. So that's what I like that we're doing here today, is trying to show people and create outreach to those people that might be in that dead end job and show them show them what this industry can offer.
But you guys were touching on some of the advantages of being in your mid 20s. You're the youngest, 24. You're 25, correct? 26. I'll get it right. 25, 24, 25, 26. I'll get it right, man. Wonderful age for this business. So, but what is the advantage?
I mean, I think we grew up with technology. So,
yeah.
I know. So Michael let me know a little secret about you that you don't really use a computer. Is that right?
I know how to use a smartphone.
Yeah. He said if it's not
turn on.
If it's not coming on his iPhone, he might not get to it.
Hey, man, I grew up on the Mac. That's all I knew how to do. I stopped learning from there.
I look back at, I actually started kindergarten when I was 4. 4 years old, they had me on computers.
Yeah.
So literally by the time I was 4 years old, I've been using computers for the last 22 years.
Wow.
So we have more technology experience, believe it or not, than people who are 22 years older than us, because we've been doing it since kindergarten, pretty much. And we've learned, and we've grown with the internet, and the technology side of the business, there's a whole another aspect with technology that just with the people in our industry right now are a lot older, and they're not implementing a lot of the tools that are available to us. Where you look at other industries, you look at things like real estate, like a real estate agent, the amount of technology they use, just because that demographic of a real estate agent is so much younger.
Yeah.
And what they're able to do with that technology, it's like the more young people we can bring into this business, what are we going to be able to do? Where technology can almost turn one agent into 2, one agent into 3 people.
Yeah.
Just leveraging all that, and it's just learning from other industries where the demographics younger, similar type of thing like real estate. I think it's a really good thing to look at on there.
Well, I think another advantage of kind of going off what you're saying with technology is, we have people that, maybe can't leave home or they don't want to. You can actually do a lot of this from home now through technology because, ever since, COVID, a lot of people don't maybe want you in their house anymore or, have a little bit more hesitancy than doing that. And they're able to do that. Or even in the case of my own agents, when we went through an ice storm just last month, we still had agents making 4 or 5 sales a day while they were stuck inside their house because we have the technology to have those calls come in, call out, call recording, and everything is done so much online now that paper apps, don't slow down the business. You're not be able to go.
And one of the things I think people have a misconception in this business is from the client level. They think of Medicare as the 80-year-old. Well, think of your parents are probably pretty close to 65. And what's the level of technology that they're using now? So a lot of people, when it comes to Medicare insurance specifically, they're thinking, oh, these old people don't use technology. I can't text them. I can't email them. I can't have them fill out an online form. Well, the young, as my parents aren't 65 yet, but they're getting close to it. And as they're getting closer, they're way more likely to fill out a form online or do something online or text me than they would ever be to call me as an insurance agent. And I think we have an opportunity just being like young guys and being able to embrace this technology where a lot of the older guys in the industry are shunning it away with the preconceived notion of older people not using technology. We're able to kind of swoop in there. And I've seen that in my own thing where there's a whole lot. Every year there's more people that I enroll pretty much via text. Like sometimes I'll do an entire Medicare insurance appointment over text, which is great for us too, compliant wise. Everything's in writing. But
and I think as you're saying, the technology, the seniors are starting to take, that's coming into that senior age. I know Tony
was a
probably
big help too with that.
He can probably attest to technology's taken over the Medicare market. And someone in their 20s that has already had that upbringing, and they're able to implement the technology into the business a lot easier than someone that's already stuck in their ways, like you said, on the paper applications or something like that.
Well, you guys touched on that, and I really appreciate what you guys bring to the table in terms, because you're so right. You guys you're born in a tech age, and I think that's one of the biggest advantages you guys have over the 50, 60, and 7-year-old age. Actually, you said earlier, I barely touch a computer. I know how to work my smartphone. No, that's okay. No, it's the truth. I got to get better at it. So, so we always can learn more, and that's one thing I love about you guys. You bring that element to the table. But I want to talk to you guys next about this. I think it's important. A lot of people shy away from talking about the money, but I think we need to talk about the money. I mean, we're not doing this for free. And as one of your guys, it was Jimmy. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Jimmy was like, this is incredible. I mean, what was Jimmy doing before he got here? He was like working in some
He's
warehouse.
been kind of, and I don't mean to call him out, but he's been
Right.
kind of job to job for a while, just trying to
Yeah.
figure out what he was going to do.
Yeah,
with
lost.
his-
Just kind of
just
lost.
kind of trying to figure out what he was going to do with his
And
life.
how old is Jimmy?
27, 28.
27. So he's just
Right around my age.
just
went to high school.
floundering here, there.
Yeah, and one of the things he said a couple weeks ago was he feels like he has a purpose now.
Yes.
Which it was really nice for me to hear. It almost like brought a tear to me that like he just feels like he didn't know what he was doing with his life. He found Medicare and he found doing this, and he feels good about it. He feels like he's helping people,
Right.
and he feels like he's making a good living doing it, and he's excited about it. I'm excited for him. It's been probably one of the best feelings for me is to be able to see him where I was in the exact same spot as him 4 years ago,
Right.
4 or 5 years ago when I started. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was bouncing
Right.
around. I was in sales at least. I was bouncing around sales to sales, but
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing. And I stumbled along this and it turned into something massive. And now I'm helping
Yeah.
Jimmy fall into that same
He
thing.
he said this comment when I called him to congratulate him that other day, and he's like, "Man, it's like I'm a social worker, but I get to make 6-figure money." He says, "This is incredible," and I'm like, "You haven't seen anything yet. The renewals, the opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think people get that. It's something I've been trying to help people understand." I'm going to share something with you guys on a personal level. I still get a check from my first year in 1994. It's not a big check, but it's about a $200 a month check from sales I made back in 1994. Every company I've been with, I still get a check. It's pretty incredible that I get a check every month from helping somebody 20 years ago. Isn't that incredible? So let's talk about that a little bit more, the money aspect of it.
And I think the money aspect definitely hits home for me because prior to this business, I was in law enforcement for 5 years, and then when I came on this last year with Global, I made what I'm making a year at the police department in 5 weeks part time.
Wow. You did this part-time?
Part-time.
Wow.
I had about 3 weeks out of the 7 weeks and made what I'm making a year. And as in the Medicare renewals, I've essentially already made that money next year as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're getting rewarded on stuff that you're doing this year. You're getting years and years of renewals.
That's awesome.
Well, and that's, the great thing about what we do. And I never shy away from it because we'll have clients all the time ask us, because we always put on commercials that we do or in presentations, our services are absolutely free. You can call me at any time that you want to with any questions. And that's, how do you make money? Well, we get paid by the insurance company.
Right.
And, being a broker, that doesn't mean that I'm going to put you in one company over the other. It just simply means that we get paid all the same, and putting you into the right plan is what's going to, give you that. And then going off of what Josh said, his friend, showing him how to make money, that's the best thing you can ever do for somebody, because not only do they become successful and they start making money, but they believe themselves that they've gained that self-confidence of, I did this myself.
Right.
You just show them how, take them on the path to do that on there.
And it's translated for Jimmy into just other areas of his life.
Mm-hmm.
You could see him
Yeah.
more confident with the ladies. He's everything. You take him a month ago versus right now, even just the change in his demeanor, everything is just it's
That's awesome.
it's wonderful to see, and it's crazy.
I mean, I've given another example of that. I had somebody that joined right before annual enrollment period, and I had about 3 weeks to train her to go in because she had actually lost her other job due to a dog bite. And so it was doing pest control sales. And, this person, they don't have retirement or anything set up. But, through that job and being able to teach them within 3 weeks, and they made over $30,000 in that time period.
Wow.
That's more money than they would know what to do with.
That's awesome.
So it's crazy what you're able to do, and kind of put people on that path to show them, hey, you can do this.
And that's one thing, for especially single moms out there. I mean, they can change their life in this business, because sometimes the predicaments happen in life. They end up single. They didn't plan to be that way with kids. We've seen some of the top people in our organization are our single women out there with kids. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Single moms do really well with this.
I think the most incredible thing is, someone can work in a career for 25 or 30 years at that dead end job, living paycheck to paycheck. They work 30 years of their life, and at the end of it, they look up and have nothing.
But Social Security.
Which you know, with the rise, you know, in 30 years,
If we have so.
If you have Social Security.
in 30 years, that Social Security check, you know, it won't be enough for a car payment with inflation over 30 years. If you're in the Medicare business for 30 years, it's literally
Limitless.
you can't wrap your mind around what it could be if you work at it for 30 years.
One of the things I'm trying, just to touch on that point, is to drill to the young guys, is because unfortunately, we'll most likely we're going to outlive our customers. And that's where the renewals come in. Is really trying to turn our renewals into something else that's going to generate that same amount of income, which I really think is real estate and rental properties. And I'm trying to drill it to everybody, and I said this on the last one. Every 100 sales is your down payment and the mortgage payment for any rental property you want to buy. It's more than enough. You can almost, depending on the area, you can get 2 rental properties with, 100 sales. Every 100 sales, you can almost get 2 rental properties every 100 sales you make. Just trying to churn that into something that's going to be there, because hopefully we're going to live a nice long life, which would mean, unfortunately, because our clients are mostly 65 plus, we need to turn that renewal into something that's going to continue to make us money and build wealth.
That's the true security in this business, to wake up every month knowing, which I loved about it, because I learned it from Tony Robbins back in the day. He goes, you wouldn't put yourself in a position in a career that every month your expenses and obligations are taken care of from a renewal check or a cash flow, real estate or something. We have that. We make good money up front. Nice 6-figure, even 7-figure income, and then you get a nice 6 or 7-figure income on the back end and renewals. Pretty. You guys, we literally have agents on our team. Have never had an agency getting 2, 3, 4, and even 500,000 a year in renewals, and never had an agency 500,000 a year in renewals. I could buy a lot of real estate property, couldn't it?
Absolutely. Let me ask you about that though, Tony. Because
What's that?
When you were in the business and you started getting a large amount of renewals, like what kept you selling or what kept you working? Because I had a point in my life before I started working with you, and kicked me in the butt, where I was making very good renewal check, and I was just kind of kicking back and
coasting
and chilling. So what kept you going?
That's a good question. The interviewee becomes the interviewer. So for me, when I was your old age at 24, 25, I was very competitive. As I said, I loved the leaders board, and I had a little chip on my shoulder. I was one of those kids that, was bullied growing up, and I just always had that chip. I wanted to prove something. But that was one. It was an inner drive. I grew up, in not the most, pleasant of situation as a child, and we didn't have a lot. I mean, we never starved, but we didn't have a lot of food to eat, and didn't have all the luxuries in life that you guys are accustomed to. So I always had that edge to prove that I can do it. But once I started making 6-figure and 7-figure, and I say this humbly, I thank the good Lord for it. But since I was 30 years old, I've never made less than $1 million a year. I say that's been almost 20 some years ago. That's what I talk about in some of these meetings and podcasts I've been doing. I'm like, you guys are listening to guys that had one good year. I've had 20 amazing years. When I was 24 and back in 1994, I made like $124,000 that first year. That was a lot of money back then, and never looked back. Yeah, I'd never looked back. So to answer your question, was setting bigger goals. The bigger house, the bigger car, committing to my community in terms of outreach. So I have charities that I work with. Having a higher calling, a bigger dream board, I would say, kept me motivated. So every year I do a dream board, and I put new things up there: the new car, the new plane, the new boat. Not just the material things, but also what do I want to do to give back? And what kind of service am I willing to give to do that? And now that I've reached the level I'm at now, thank the good Lord, I've reached this level that it's not even about the toys. I got the beach house. I got all the toys. I mean, money's not an issue. By becoming a partner with integrity. I told somebody the other day I got LeBron James money. They're like, LeBron James, that's well,
generational.
That's just generational wealth. And I thank the good Lord for that. Mm-hmm. That day I got the phone call from Brian Adams was life-changing to me. But what I did it for is that, I was making good money. I was making a nice 7-figure income. I was doing extremely well. I'm like, how can I get other people to do that? How can I get Josh Shinn to do that, and Trey Jones to do that, and Derek Mathews, and many other people across. So I'm at a stage now that I want to see your old dreams come true. I want to pay it forward and leave a legacy in other people. I've left a great legacy. My kids will never have to worry about money again. My grandkids won't. I don't need a lot. I mean, I like nice clothes. I like nice things. I like to travel. But what could I do to change the world? It's like what Martin Luther King did in terms of the civil rights movement. What he did was tremendous. He sacrificed a lot to better other people's lives. Mother Teresa, you can name all kinds of legends in history. Not that I would want a statue or anything like that, but it would be nice to know that final day on earth that I can look back on my life and say, hey, I made a difference in people's
At
lives.
this point, is your goal, you want everyone to know your name and you want it to mean something?
Not that I know my name, but I just want to say, you know what? I don't even need the spotlight. I kind of have to do that now with the social media thing. It's crazy. I actually shied away from this, but I would like to know that I've touched someone's life. Like if you guys could have been in Chicago, the tears in that room last week was real. That I took a guy like Joe Gray, had $38 in his bank account when he first met me. Didn't believe it was real, drove all the way up to Baltimore. And this is a guy that's older than I am. He's almost 60. To prove that it was real, he wanted to touch me. He drove to my office. And he started mid-November and finished in the top 10 with us selling Medicare. Well, after his first year, his full renewal check, he took his full renewal check, took his entire family, dozens of people to Disney World, something he always wanted to do. And now he's at a level that he makes more money residually than 99% of the people in America make slaving for a living. And one last thing before we wrap up, I really think it's important for people because you guys have been with other FMOs, correct? I think you have.
Yep.
You haven't. I know you have.
Kind of.
What's the difference between us and other FMOs before we wrap up?
Well, just what I was saying is that just, connecting and being able to talk.
And what's it like other FMOs? Some people tell me different things. What have you seen?
I have never seen the other FMO that I've been with. I'll not name that. Not name.
Of course, I
them,
wouldn't want you to name them.
But I have never seen people work less in my life than this FMO. And they were a major one where you could call them on a Tuesday afternoon and they were off having a party or they were doing something.
They're on the golf course.
Exactly. You couldn't talk to them.
Right.
You couldn't do, actually ask a question, or if something needed to be done, it wouldn't get done.
Right.
And, there was no community to it. It was just very put together in a way of, okay, well, we're successful. And then, we're going to give you these contracts.
Right.
They
just push contracts to you. Yeah.
And with Global, not only just the opportunities that we have, but connecting with Josh and Derek and other agents like that are my age, is the opportunity we have for that generational wealth of seeing past that of with integrity and doing different things in that space. Of doing that. So that's, to me, one of the biggest differences of thinking past just, now.
Good. Well, great stuff. Great stuff. Well, as we close, guys, I want to thank you guys again. You guys have been a true blessing. You guys give me my inspiration. You do. I look at you guys like my own kids, and just want to see you now then pay it forward. You guys have a ways to go, and you guys are right on the right track. No doubt in my mind, before you guys are 30 years old, you will be earning 7 figures in this business. I'm going to guide you along that way. It's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some challenges. It's going to be some pitfalls. But just remember this. Every obstacle and adversity you guys go through is really a stepping stone to wealth and success. I used to shy away from that. Now I welcome the challenge. I welcome the failure. I welcome the things that don't work because I don't look at failure as failure. It's just an opportunity to learn. So every single adversity, because you guys are going to have them. There's going to be times that you get put on your knees, bring tears to your eyes. You're going to have moments in your life, personally and business. Look at that as an opportunity to grow. And a key thing you guys have done that a lot of young people don't do, you found me as your mentor along with your parents. I'm like Uncle Tony. You guys, you need good mentors. I was talking to a group of young people last night at a meeting, and they gave me, they said, give us just one tip. I said, and they were in a different industry. And I was speaking at this group, and I said, find a mentor, doing what you love to do, and do the same thing and have them mentor you. So if I was going to play golf, I'd go find Tiger Woods and learn how to play golf. If I was going to learn how to throw a football, I'd go call Tom Brady, find a way to hunt him down and teach me how to throw a football. Find somebody that's at that level to help groom and mentor you to that level. So that's my final advice to you guys in this group. So I want to thank you guys again. Any final words to any 20-year-olds that are watching this, or anybody? It doesn't have to be 20-year-olds, but any age group. Any final words before we wrap up?
I'd say if you're going to be successful, you need to go ahead and take the first step, because
Amen.
nobody's going to do it for you.
Amen.
And certainly nobody's going to come and help you when, you're struggling. So take that step and do it yourself.
Go for it.
Go
Just
for
You're
it.
going to stop and work for yourself now and build a business now when you have the least amount of obligations in your life. When are you going to do it? That's my
Right
final
now.
word on
Yeah.
that.
Do it now.